So it's been a week and some change since Rise of the Beast has hit theaters, and we've seen the movie, we've connected with those characters, and now that we've seen the movie and we know what we know of those characters, and don't worry, we're not going to get into spoiler territory here for people who still have not seen the movie, but now we're in this kind of situation where we're going, all right, I like these characters, I want to own a version of those characters. We live in a world today where, it's not, oh, I like that character and there's only that one figure. Now we get options. Now we have all these different versions. Which is the best version? I want to own this. I want to own that and have that represented in my collection, in my display. So today we are going to talk about what we think potentially in the time being, this could obviously change in 5 months, 6 months, whatever. But right now, what is the best Mirage figure we could pick up from Transformers Rise of the Beast? Because he was the man in this movie. He was a big focus of it. And a lot of people left that movie really liking Mirage and Pete Davidson's depiction of that character. And we're going to kind of talk about what we have at our disposal at the time being, the pros and cons of that. We're going to talk about what potentially we might be getting in the future. So also kind of a way to kind of maybe hold back on what we might pick up. And just what are our options pretty much. And just dive deep into it. So the first thing we're going to kind of slide under the rug is anything that's Dino, because Dino at one point was called Mirage, the Dark of the Moon character. That was just because they couldn't figure out what they were going to name some of these characters, kind of like how we have Q and we have Wheeljack. So Dino at one point was called Mirage. So I'm not counting any of that Dino stuff. That doesn't count. I'm not counting the 3D battle card game Mirage. That started as a movie-verse card game back in 2007, and then they started opening up to non-movie designs, and as a result, those retroactively, according to certain communities in the Transformer fandom, consider those still part of the movieverse, even those are clearly alternators and G1 designs. It's a whole rabbit hole I don't want to get into. But the point is, we're going to be just talking Rise of the Beasts product Mirage stuff and what is the best ones we could get. So we're going to get into that. We'll start first with the Transformers Rise of the Beast, Beast Alliance, Mainline, Autobot Mirage Battle Changer. So this is out right now in stores. Came out literally like 2 weeks ago. And that's the very simple 4.5 inch, battle changer, simple transformation, not much articulation toy. That's the thing you buy for the kid pretty much. And true to form with a lot of those mainline stuff, they make sure that, the alt mode is not 100% a licensed vehicle, so they don't have to pay for a license for a small, cheap product. So it kind of looks like a facsimile of a Porsche 911, 964 Carrera RS 3.8. But it's not really, they so much so, but not so much. If you're squinting, okay, maybe. So they kind of get, it is what it is. Alt mode is an attempt at it, but not quite. And the robot mode is pretty simple. Let's put it that way. And the way that these figures essentially work is they also have some kind of flip out gimmick. So he has kind of a flip out, buster weapon. But again, articulation isn't great. And also the design, the robot mode, especially the head, is clearly that of when they started working on these. These were the early models of Mirage and how he was going to look until we got the final animation models that were used in the movie. So you got to keep that in mind too. So again, it is what it is. The Pro, it's cheap. It's cheap to get. It's easy to get. Easy to transform, I guess, for people that are not as into complex Transformers. But the cons are alt mode doesn't really, match that of the Porsche that's depicted in the movie. Robot mode is limited articulation, early design model, so it doesn't really reflect how it looks in the movie. It's really something that, unless you're really on a budget, it's not the Mirage you go with. The next one we have is kind of the same thing. We got the mainline Mirage, but now we got the Deluxe class. This was both available in the Beast Alliance mainline single packs that were available across all the different retailers, but also was available in a 3-pack through the Target Buzzworthy Bumblebee Jungle Mission 3-packs. Those were the ones that came with Bumblebee and Air Razor, and Mirage was part of that set too. This one too, it's kind of the same thing where the alt mode is an unlicensed version of the Porsche, just slightly better than what was done with, of course, with that battle changer. So you still have that same issue where it's not 100% like the Porsche looks in the movie, and the Porsche got a lot of screen time. So, you really want something that looks like that. But the robot mode is a pretty good job at it. It's a lot thinner than one of the other ones we're going to talk about in a moment. So it kind of represents more Mirage's thin kind of frame and the lack of kibble that he had in the movies and most of those movie designs. So it is a better step up in a lot of ways. He has a kind of a rear bumper stored blaster that could then be put on his hand that could be used as a weapon. So that's pretty cool too. So it has a little bit of an accessory. The head sculpt, it's either some kind of battle mask or again falls into the trappings of when this thing was being designed, it was an early concept of what the character was supposed to look like that's different than what the final design is. So it kind of falls into that same issue too. So you have to keep that in mind also when picking up this one. The one good thing is if you are kind of like, you're impatient and you want to get a proper head design, I want to give a shout out to Hightail Creations on Twitter, also known as @Hightail_works. He put out a whole bunch of 3D printed stuff so you could upgrade this Mirage and give it a more movie screen accurate head and stuff. He took a beautiful photo shoot and showed his customs and everything. So be sure to check that out if you kind of want to upgrade this specific version. It works with this Mirage, the mainline version. So again, the pros is that it's much more thinner, so it kind of matches more. Articulation is pretty good. Has a weapon that's interchangeable. The head sculpt could use some work, but it's probably the better ones of the bunch. Alt mode obviously is still missing out, unfortunately, on being a true to Porsche design. It's that facsimile. It's a not Porsche, but not quite. But still looks pretty cool. I mean, it does pretty much 80% of what it needs to do in a lot of ways. So we're getting there. We're getting there. And then we have the Studio Series one that is still yet to come out at this moment, but the Studio Series SS105 Deluxe Class Mirage Rise of the Beasts. We've only seen images of these pretty much from a 3D standpoint, like the 3D mock-up images and everything like that. The stock renders is another way that some people use the vernacular with that, but those could also be photoshopped, and they're very static. It makes the figure look like it's very bulky. It almost reminds me of the old 2007 Jazz Deluxe Class figure and the limitations that has. Again, what are the pros with it? I mean, the Porsche mode now looks dead on. It actually looks like the Porsche that is licensed from Porsche, the 911. But the robot mode kind of looks like it's lacking. It doesn't seem to have all the details of the model in the movie. And again, it might be one of those things where it suffers from early design, where it just doesn't have how it's supposed to look in the final product. And again, that head sculpt, I mean, I don't know, not feeling it. It doesn't have the character there. So far, out of what we've talked about, these three that we have, so far it looks like the mainline version might be the way to go, even over the Studio Series. Even though we haven't gotten the Studio Series in hand yet, I mean, I don't know what could really change from this one to the other one. The Studio Series one has a lot of hanging parts on it, just doesn't have the sleekness. So it's hard to tell. But we will see in the future. But the last thing I want to talk about, though, is what potentially we might be getting in the future. So last week we had the Tokyo Toy Show, and the Tokyo Toy Show had a closed panel talking about the future of the Masterpiece line. And Takara Tomy talked about how they're starting to have a really close relationship, a working relationship with that of Porsche. And that was something that was not the case not too long ago. During that Alternators era, if you listen to the Toy Armada segment with me and Aaron Archer, Porsche didn't want anything to do with Transformers back in the day. But then we saw recently with Hasbro and the connections that they had with Porsche and doing that Super Bowl commercial featuring Mirage and the Porsche vehicle and stuff, it clearly shows that there's going to be something going on with those two companies in the near future. And again, that public announcement at the Tokyo Toy Show that Porsche and Takara Tomy are going to be working on stuff in the Masterpiece line really makes us go, something's going on here. Now, we do know that there's that Masterpiece cliff jumper that we saw test shots and early samples of. So clearly that's going to be one part of it because, again, cliff jumper back in the day was one of those Microman Porsches. So there's one of those elements there. But if I'm a betting man, I'm telling you, because of how successful this movie has been, because how Mirage is a featured character that really was in a lot of ways one of the main characters, kind of the Bumblebee replacement in a lot of ways, with the human component. I could totally see them doing a MPM movie masterpiece, Rise of the Beast Mirage, at some point. And if that is the case, then it'll obviously pale in comparison to everything else that we just discussed here today. It'll probably be something that now, with the hindsight of design, they could now design something that looks like it looks in the movie. And who knows what other extra bells and whistles will be included. I mean, we might even get a little mini Noah in Mirage armor figure that comes with it too, similar to what those small like Diaclone reboot line figures are that we got back in 2016. They have a very similar kind of aesthetic and articulation that could be done on a simple pack-in item for a masterpiece. So I could see that being done too. So I mean, at the end of the day, what we have of the three we discussed, probably the mainline one is the best version, but I still feel that there's still better to come. It won't be a studio series, but I think it'll be a movie masterpiece, unfortunately. But if you do want to have something that's more of that, retail item, maybe pick up the mainline one, get that little head upgrade from Hightail Creations, and maybe that'll be the best for now until a movie masterpiece or something like that. But that's just my take. Again, it's very interesting, the journey, how we always have with our characters, where there's so many different options, and Hasbro just kind of gets better and better at depicting them through engineering changes. I mean, even something like me, who a character like, let's say, The Last Night Hot Rod, where there was many different toys early on, and it just kept getting better and better until we got to even the Studio Series version. Who knows, dare I say, maybe a masterpiece one day. I doubt it, but I honestly see Mirage getting one before Hot Rod. But it's just, it's really cool. It's really cool. I dig what I see here, and I just hope that we get something better later on through the movie masterpiece, and I think we will. So let me know what you guys think. What do you think is the best Mirage up to this point? Do you think we will get something better? What do you think that Porsche license will entail? Would also mean getting a Jazz at some point and maybe some other stuff. The sky is the limit. Let me know what you think, guys, and we'll talk again here on the Transformer Slag podcast in the near future.